The Rothschild empire grew from the slums of Frankfurt's 18th-century Jewish ghetto, seemingly overnight. One day, Meyer Amschel Rothschild ran a coin dealership and then in the blink of an eye became the head of the world's richest family, with financial operations run by his 5 sons in London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, and Frankfurt. Historians have calculated that in relative terms, they were richer than any dynasty today, even the Saudi royal family, many times over. But how did they do it? How did a poor family of German street traders become the creators of modern capitalism? How did Meyer and his sons establish an international banking dynasty? Meyer Amschel Rothschild, original builder of the family fortune, was born in 1744 in the Judean Gasse, the Jewish ghetto of Frankfurt, one of 8 children of Amschel Moses Rothschild and his wife Shunsch Rothschild. Meyer's father had a business in goods trading of silk and currency exchange. He was a personal supplier of coins to Prince William of Hesse. The family home above the shop had a front wall only 11 feet wide, where more than 30 people lived at that time. By the time Meyer was 12 years old, both of his parents had died, and he left rabbinical school and went to Hanover to learn finance. He worked as an apprentice at the firm of Wolf Jacob Oppenheimer, who provided credit to royalty and engaged in international trade, especially in bullion. Under the Oppenheimers' tutelage, Rothschild learned useful knowledge in foreign trade and currency exchange before returning to the family coin trade. Meyer was able to build upon his father's relationship with Prince William and make a decent income collecting and selling rare coins. It is this trade in coins that was the basis for the Rothschild fortune. Meyer was granted the title of court agent in 1769, which gave him more access to money-making opportunities with other princely patrons. Of course, Meyer lived in the time when marriage came, with a dowry from the bride's family. When he married Gödel Schnapper in 1770, he received a very generous dowry from her father. The couple would go on to have 10 children, 5 sons and 5 daughters. Eventually, Rothschild began providing banking services to Crown Prince Wilhelm, who would become Wilhelm IX, Landgrave of Hesse-Jassel in 1785. Meyer made money off revolutions, both in countries and technology. During the French Revolution, Meyer profited by providing supplies for the Austrian army with coin from the British. He also was able to predict the upcoming Industrial Revolution and the potential to make money from it, so he became a large importer of English textiles. Following the French Revolution, Meyer's business expanded rapidly when he handled payments from England for the hire of Hessian mercenaries. Soon Meyer was providing credit to his customers. This is where his fortune really started to explode. In 1795 his taxable income was 4,000 gulden. A year later, it was 60,000. At the turn of the 19th century, Meyer made his move across the continent, sending his 5 sons to establish branches of the family bank in the major European capitals. The Rothschild family coat of arms has an image of a fist clutching 5 arrows on it, which is a reference to Meyer's 5 sons. He sent them to Frankfurt, Naples, Vienna, Paris, and London. This would mark the beginning of the Rothschilds' worldwide banking dynasty. But Meyer was worried about the family fortune being diluted through marriages. His will barred female descendants from any direct inheritance. This basically encouraged the women of the Rothschild family to marry within their family. 4 of his granddaughters married his grandsons, their first cousins, and 1 married her uncle. Meyer's oldest son, Amschel Rothschild, ran the home branch in Frankfurt. He died childless. Karl Rothschild was sent to Italy and founded CM de Rothschild and Figli in Naples, where he had a very close and profitable relationship with the ruling de Medici family. His daughter married his nephew, Nathan's son. Solomon Rothschild went to Vienna and founded SM von Rothschild. Solomon's operation was key in financing the Nordbahn Railroad. His daughter Betty married his brother James, in accordance with family custom. James Rothschild established the Paris branch of the family banking dynasty, de Rothschild Frères. The Paris branch was one of the most successful of the family's banking branches due to James' close relationship with King Louis Philippe. The Paris location also helped the family's ability to operate across Europe. With this branch, they were able to profit from the opportunity of financing Wellington's armies in Portugal, requiring the sourcing of large quantities of gold on behalf of the British government, for a fee, of course. The house where James and his niece/wife's children grew up is now part of the American Embassy. James also purchased Chateau Lafite in the Bordeaux region of France, which is one of the best vineyards in the country and remains in the family to this day. Nathan Rothschild was by far the most successful of the sons of Meyer with his London-based NM Rothschild & Sons. His branch got its start from the former Prince William of Hesse, who descended to the throne in 1785 but fled to Denmark after Napoleon invaded. He entrusted Meyer with his fortune, and Rothschild funneled that money to Nathan in England. Nathan's savvy investments grew the Rothschild family's fortune using their king's money. Nathan came up with the ingenious banking strategy of lending to governments during wartime and having the winner cover the loser's debt. Nathan used this tactic to fund Wellington's army in 1814, and it is the main reason for the enormous growth of the family's wealth in what turned out to be nearly 150 years of constant warfare. Waging a high-risk campaign of exchange rate transactions, bond price speculations, and commissions, the family garnered huge profits from this governmental financing. In 1818, the Rothschilds' wealth went from £500,000 to £4,330,333 in just 10 years. The strategy was implemented across all the family bank branches. Nathan was in a position to either make a ton or lose a ton on the outcome of the Battle of Waterloo. There is a centuries-old urban legend that says he was the first to hear the news of Wellington's victory. It is said that he was stone-faced upon hearing this good news, as he had financed Wellington's army. What did he do? Nathan Rothschild went out and sold stock to trick others into thinking that Britain had lost the battle. When things settled down, he then had his agents go out and repurchase that stock plus some at a discount, resulting in a hugely profitable day for the family. For most of the 19th century, N.M. Rothschild was a branch of the largest bank in the world and dominated the international bond market. To get a contemporary idea of the size and influence of the Rothschild family, there would have to be a merger between Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and the International Monetary Fund to even approach the size and influence of the money Rothschild-owned banks controlled. Their control also had a stabilizing role on the finances of many governments. The key to the Rothschilds' domination was in their unity. Meyer and his 5 sons ran independent branches across Europe that effectively acted as one firm. The Rothschilds also, more or less, created the international bond market when they began issuing foreign bonds in sterling. And then, as profits returned to the firm, they kept it all in the family by marrying within the family. And yet, the Rothschilds could be vulnerable. They only survived the European revolutions in 1848 because of a timely, and lucky, shipment of silver from their semi-independent agent in New York. That near disaster is the Rothschilds' biggest strategic error, and it was almost their undoing. The Rothschild from 1850 till present. In the 1850s, the family began constructing grand homes around Europe, but were not unaffected by political tensions of the time. The unification of Italy forced the closure of the Naples branch of the bank. The first generation of bankers died out in 1868 with the passing of Baron James, but the family continued the finance legacy in London, Paris, Frankfurt, and Vienna. As industrialization swept the globe, the Rothschild family became involved in mining stones in India and Africa and hunting for oil in Russia. One of the second-generation Rothschild, Edmund de Rothschild, began developing Jewish colonies in Palestine. The Frankfurt Rothschilds came to an end in 1901 as the result of not having a male heir. World War I provided new business opportunities for the family, but the empire was hit hard by the financial crisis of 1929, particularly in Vienna. The family's holdings in Austria were brought under Nazi control in the late 1930s. The Rothschild family's interests recovered by the 1960s and they began working on expansion to the United States. The new focus allowed for the branding of London's Rothschild Incorporated, and N.M. Rothschild & Sons. As of today, the family's banks employ close to 3,000 people globally. Here is a photo of the family's British castle, known as Waddesdon Manor. The French and British Rothschild family members became known for their work as scientists and philanthropists. Baron Philippe de Rothschild, 1902–1988, became a premier winemaker of the vineyard Mouton Rothschild. The Rothschild wine business is still successful to this day, with the Chateau Lafite Rothschild 2005 Pauillac now retailing for almost $1,050 a bottle. Today, the family empire is divided between direct descendants and outside shareholders, which is why, according to the Financial Times, it's difficult to tell how wealthy the actual family is. The Rothschild core global banking and private equity businesses are held by Concordia BV. First owned in equal shares by the English and French families, the company is now controlled by an entity called Paris Orléans. Some people claim the Rothschild empire today is worth trillions of dollars thanks to their vast interests in global currency debt, banking, real estate, art, and sheer power. There are some people who go so far as to claim that the Rothschild are the heads of a new world order that controls the world's central banking system, were behind the 9/11 attacks, financed the communist revolution, and own 99% of the world's news and media organizations. As for specific members of the modern family, Sir Evelyn de Rothschild, the British financier, has a net worth of $20 billion. Jacob Rothschild, another British investment banker, has a net worth of $5 billion, and 41-year-old Nathaniel Philip Rothschild is worth $1 billion. As a modern-day empire, the family's total net worth and assets combined have been estimated to be in the $300 to $400 billion range. But it's truly impossible to get a completely accurate accounting of their wealth. So that's it for today's video. Please squeeze the like button tight, just like the Rothschild due to their fortune, and let us know in the comments below how much do you think is the real net worth of the Rothschild family. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any new weekly uploads from the world of the wealthy. Till next time.